from the current side.
It's fine here now. That's what we do. There, you're allowing for this book.
Right.
Yeah.
Lesson 3. That's funny getting this. Funny it's going to that camera now. Okay. So lesson 3. You're now well and truly part of Solid RTO. You're doing a great job. Well done. You're going to plan a work skill instruction session with a small group of learners for Solid RTO. Before you begin, you need to research your learners and be sure to consider the diverse group needs. Who are your vocation learners? Now, I'm going to put this into your context. Who are you going to be training? Who do you plan to train when you get
Nurses.
nurses? What type of nurses? Old nurses, young nurses, new nurses.
Mixed. Old. Now start with the new ones first.
What are you going to be teaching them?
Basics of neonatal.
Anybody else? Who are your students? Who are your learners?
So we're doing circle plan to, so it's like new people managers or people advising to. It's affiliated sessions.
Of course. What things on? Anybody else? Who makes up your learners? What do they look like? What do they sound like? Socratic question. Reverse?
We're in their 20s, or it could be people who've been in the workforce for a long time, never had people management, so 40s, 50s.
How do they like to learn?
Adult learning principles.
Adult learning principles? No. By Malcolm Knowles. Malcolm Knowles is an American, based his work on a German adult learning principles philosopher, teacher. Germany was on the nose with America after World War II, so most of the people talk about Malcolm Knowles, but Malcolm Knowles' work isn't original. It's definitely developed and built on it, but it's called andragogy rather than pedagogy. You're not teaching children, you're teaching adults. So andragogy, teaching adults. I had a student once point out to me that technically means teaching males because it's ancient Greek, but we use it much more broadly, not widely sort of way. Right? So andragogy is teaching adults. What are the adult learning principles? We'll get to this later on in the course, but it sounds like you know it already. So what are some of the adult learning?
Has to be relevant.
Relevant has to be relevant material, has to be a direct link to what I'm going to be doing later on. Why am I wasting my time with it otherwise? My example of that is learning Spanish before I went to Spain, just before COVID. Didn't learn it for very long, went to Spain, stopped learning. Right? It was less relevant for me to keep learning Spanish because I wasn't going back to Spain in a hurry because COVID came. I'll go back to Spain at some point probably, and I'll probably try and learn Spanish again. But relevance is currency, right? It's current, so like it's immediate. It's also about reward. There'll be some benefit for me doing this. If I'm going to become a trainer and assessor, I'll do this course. But if I'm doing this course as a trainer and assessor and never going to be a trainer and assessor, why am I wasting my time? Primary school, secondary school, I'll put up with learning about stuff that has no necessarily any relevance to their later life. Might learn about the Battle of Waterloo, etc. But they're much more forgiving of that than adults. Adults want content. They want content. So they reward experience. So they bring experience to the classroom. They want to be valued for what they already know. They'll contribute when they're valued. They want to see the connection. What sort of styles do people have? This is bad. I'm moving around a lot. What sort of styles do people have? Some people are visual learners. Some people are auditory learners. Some people are kinesthetic learners. Some people reading learners, writing learners. That's generally kinesthetic. Writing is kinesthetic learner. They might be reflective learners. We're all reflective learners, right? But we might go away and process it and come back. And we'll talk about Honey Mumford in a minute. But visual, auditory, kinesthetic. There are a number of TED Talks that try and debunk. I actually had a student last year say visual, auditory, kinesthetic learning was all debunked. It's a myth. It's debunked years ago. Seriously, TED still teaching this? Well, TED is still teaching it because it's not debunked. It's just that people have overused it, right? We all have a way that we like to learn, and we have more than one way we like to learn. So we might be a visual learner, but we'll also be an auditory learner, or we'll also be a kinesthetic learner. What's important in terms of learning styles is that you know what your style is, and you know to adapt your style to make sure you teach the other styles as well. We want to reinforce learning. We reinforce learning by giving people information in different ways, not by repeating ourselves, but by giving it visually, by giving it verbally, and by hands-on activity. That caters to visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, and all of us are at least more than one. So you're getting information in more than one way. You might have a preference to be visual, you might have a preference to be auditory, but you need to incorporate the others into the way you teach.
The preferences was rather than find evidence of you remembering.
Right.
So your
Yeah.
preference can help hold your attention, but it's not.
That's right. That's right. So it's about how we engage, but then from there we have to reinforce that learning, and we have to find ways to maintain that knowledge. And if we don't get a chance to practice it, then we don't retain. So I can teach you all of this stuff, and if you don't go anywhere near a classroom for 10 years, this stuff that I teach you now is not going to be relevant because you won't have retained the knowledge. You won't have been putting it into practice. So retention is important. We know from culture, when we do cultural safety training, we know that people for 2 or 3 days may change their behaviour, but they don't change their behaviour 6 months down the track. They go back to old ways. So unless there's a reason for behaviour, we look at behaviour management models, unless there's a reason to change the behaviour, it's not going to kick in. There's one other person in this room and myself who want to be sooner in 6 months, and we just made a pact to do that, right? And we'll do it because we've made a pact to do it. But one of us is going to slip up at some point, and it's probably going to be me. It's probably going to be by the end of tonight, right? But we can, without significant reason to change the behaviour, it's difficult. My sister just had bone density scans at an imaging place. And while we were there for hours, right? And there were people coming and going, but mainly staying in the one spot because they were having a stress test in the morning and then some other scan in the afternoon. And they're all about 10 to 15 years older than me. And I'm thinking, I really need to do something about looking after my health because I don't really want to be sitting in that scanning room doing all this stuff with a walking frame to get in there and not playing golf and all sorts of stuff. So whatever I keep that image, I've probably got some motivation to change behaviour. But as soon as I lose that image, my motivational behaviour goes out the window. So if we want to retain knowledge, that's one thing. But we also want our learners to lock it in, Eddie, over a period of time, right? And we've got to work out ways to do that. So we've got visual, auditory, kinesthetic as ways of engaging with the knowledge. We've got Kolb's 4 process, which Honey Mumford have turned into activists, reflectors, theorists, and pragmatists. Reflectors like to think about what they're learning, go away, think about what I've said today, go and do some more research, and come back next week and say, oh, Terry, in class last week you mentioned blah. I've done some research on that, and I've come up with this. Right? That's a classic reflective learner. I don't like to be put on the spot. Renuka, what did you think of such and such? If you're a reflective learner, you're not going to like me putting you on the spot. You're going to say, oh, can I come back here next week with that? If I give you an activity to run off and do, you will want to know all the detail before you do it. And you don't want to present this week. You want to take it home, pretty it up, make sure it's all right, and then come back. Why do we have to present it straight after the tutorial, after the activity? The activist, it's got the butcher's paper. They're out the door. They're already doing it before I've even finished speaking. That's me, by the way. But then they'll come back and say, oh, did we get that right? Oh, it doesn't matter if we didn't quite get it right. We've learned from the experience. The theorist wants to know why we're doing it. What's the history of butcher's paper activities? How is this relevant from a previous historical perspective. And they'll have several windows open at the same time on their laptop because I start looking at something and I end up looking at different things. That's also me. I had 15 or 20 windows open. I was once looking for the lyrics to a folk song called The Testimony of Patience Kershaw that I heard at a folk festival. And I was teaching child protection and I wanted to give the class the context of working in a mine in the 1840s with the testimony of an 11-year-old girl to a Royal Commission. And I found it, but in the process of finding it, the name Kershaw came up and Oscar Wilde came up. And I thought, what does Kershaw got to do with Oscar Wilde? But that was the name of his lawyer in his trial of the Marquis of Queensbury. So I ended up looking at Oscar Wilde stuff while I was researching it. Theorists do that all the time. They go off and find all sorts of other interesting things. Right? Pragmatists are already switched off, thinking, why is he talking about Oscar Wilde? This has got nothing to do with me being a trainer and assessor starting tomorrow. Let's just get on with stuff that's relevant to teaching because I want to get on with the job. I want to learn how to fix the car because that's what I'm here to do. Right? I want to learn Spanish. So the pragmatist in me, when I was learning Spanish for a very brief period, ended up on Pimsleur because that was conversational proper Spanish. Right? I was on Duolingo to start with, and it said things like the boy ate an apple, the girl ate a pear. This person has a banana. I'm thinking, I'm not going to Spain and walking down the street going, oh, the girl's eating an apple. Oh, the boy's got a pear. Yeah. That's right. Smarty pants. All right, so that you are. So, who else is the vocational? That's their styles, right? That's how they like to learn. What else? You're going to be different ages. They're going to have different experiences. They have different cultures, different socioeconomic backgrounds. Some people's way out of poverty in some countries is to do medicine or to do health or to do science and to move into that career. My sister's neurosurgeon, amazing man, Wollongong, clearly has a different background to me. People come from all walks of life. Some people embrace socioeconomic disadvantage to turn it into advantage. Some people will stay within that socioeconomic disadvantage and don't get a chance to get out of it. Some of that's cultural, some of that's opportunity, some of that's self-perception, self-esteem, self-belief. But all those things impact upon our learners. Yeah? You've got 6 areas that you can research. We won't do this just now, but this is part of your, again, we'll do this as part of your assessment. You've got 3 learners to look at in your assessment. In the first learner in your assessment, it talks about him doing a plumbing course. He doesn't have to be doing a plumbing course. You can make it whatever course you want to do. Cert 3 business admin, Cert 3 assistant in nursing, whatever you want it to be, doesn't have to be plumbing. Okay? You can leave it at plumbing if you want to. It doesn't really affect anything. That's lesson 3. Where do we get information about our learners? How do we find out about our learners? We obviously can ask them without being intrusive. How else can we find out about our learners? Sorry? Enrolment forms can tell us some information. I used to do a numeracy and literacy test with people enrolling for Aboriginal health workers for frontline leadership management, actually. And there was a question, there was a thing they had to read a paragraph about an RTO that was delivered in training assessment and how much it costs. And there's some questions they had to answer. And people would read that and they want to sign up for that course. It was just something, it was just an activity. So that was a comprehension issue in itself, right? But you just get an idea whether people can speak English well, can read well, you got them to self-rate. But that gave us some information about the learner because they filled it out when they did their enrollment form. Your learner group, as we said, could be physical ability, disability. It could be about their personality type. At some point, we might get to do disc behaviour profiles. And if you're a D, you're going to be very different to somebody who's an S. But you're all going to have your own styles. You have your own ways of recharging your energy, whether that's through other people, through activity, or through you having a good sleep. Now, in my case, as an S, IS, I can have the worst day in the world, I can be ready to resign, have a good sleep, go back and do exactly what I was doing about P3 tomorrow. Because it's a new day and a new horizon. It's a new opportunity, right? Another opportunity to talk to TAPE admin about the problem.
You're gonna love us by the end of the month.
So we assess the needs of the learner, we find out what they need. We do learner diversity, quality and equity. What's equity and access? I'll give you a slide on that later on, but equity, access, about treating people with respect, and it's not equality, right? It's equity. And then access is there's a classic slide about a football game where people have got boxes to watch it, and there's no fence in front of them, so that's equity. And access is they're all able to see the same thing because they've been given assistance to stand on the shoulders of somebody else or stand on a milk crate or whatever. Best practice principles for diversity and inclusivity. How do you incorporate diversity and inclusiveness in your classroom management, and adapting your training practices to your audience. Right, that gives us lesson 4. This is about professional currency. This is your stakeholder meeting. Okay, what we have to do now is we have to do your research activities in your assessment. So you've got some tables to fill out. Once you've filled out your tables, you then have to interview. It won't take 10 to 15, it'll be 5 to 10 probably. You have to interview a stakeholder. Now that could be somebody in your RTO context of health. It could be from Hetty, it could be Jackie, it could be Jason, but it could also be me. So the next time we meet, we could do stakeholder interview where you ask me some questions relating to your professional development plan that you're developing and the research that you have done. Okay, so between now and our next session,
A fortnight.
a fortnight away, you'll need to have done your research, filled your tables out, started to think about your professional development plan. You may even draft your professional development plan, and then you need to ask me or somebody some questions. If you're doing somebody else, you need to record it. If you're doing me, we do it live, and we'll do it together as a group. Right? Either way is fine, but that will get us through this assessment plus a knowledge test. That will be this unit out of the way. All we have to do. That we'll have 2 assessments down by Friday week, and that will be March. That'll be early March, not fall into March. It'll be early. Right? So,
A question on this one quickly. Understanding that we've got people like Jason, Jackie, etc.
Yeah.
And this is where we kind of get onto the work sharing type of thing. 20 of us can't go and all do interviews.
no, the 20 of you can see
But
here.
can we do a
Q&A.
group?
Yeah, do a group here.
Okay, cool.
Right, so I sit at the front like a Q&A session. You ask me a question. To put it, a student a couple of years ago said, guys, this is like getting 30 years worth of experience in one question session. It's actually a really good way of teaching as well. We cover a lot of stuff that I wouldn't normally cover, but because you've asked a question, it brings stuff out.
But we could do that, for example, not with just you, if we had
Yep, we could have
6
a
of us
panel.
with Jason.
Yeah, but you need to record it.
Yeah.
If I don't get to see it,
Just
live.
So if we
So we
did
got Jackie and Jason at the front asking them questions.
if we did like a Teams meeting that was recorded with 6 of us asking Jason questions.
Or alternatively, Friday week, Jason's here. No, Jason's in Korea.
You'll be here.
I'll be here.
You'll be.
Jackie will be here.
Yeah.
Jackie and I could be at the front.
Yeah.
Jackie can give you the health experience. I can give you the broader experience. We sign you off as having done your interview.
And do we need to?
2 to 3 questions each.
Do we need to let you know that that's what we're doing? So on the Friday, you're not surprised with,
No, I'll be ready. I'll be ready, willing, and able.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Is that gonna be next?
Following.
So next week you'll be doing your research. If you're going next Friday, you'll be getting your research exercises done.
Yep.
Getting through that. We'll start on that now.
Are we fixed on the Friday or is that open to change?
Well, I did a survey. And 10 people said, yeah, Friday morning. 1 person said Friday afternoon, and 1 person said some other time in the week. If there's enough people, there'll be another session on what day will suit you. I'll send you the survey. What day will suit you. Any day else than that Friday. So I'll send the survey out to all the people who haven't got the survey yet. You didn't get the survey?
I did, I think I said Monday morning.
Okay, well, I haven't checked it for a little while. The last time I saw it said any other day but Friday.
I don't care, Friday, I'll make it work. It's not Thursday.
Thursday?
That's me.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know.
That is,
That's right.
Thank you.
I was just thinking like, damn, what stakeholders, just come chat.
Yeah. So you're a learning and development manager? Or an organisational development manager? Yeah. So someone can come and talk to you about the professional development plan to currency and debt, and this is really about debt. So if you've got that background, for sure. You can record it and away we go. All right, we want you to reflect. What creates good reflective practice? If you don't have an open mind, how can you be reflective? Can't let information in. Now, over here, we have a door, right? Imagine this is a mind. That's a closed mind. There's not much coming in, right? If I open it a little bit, it's an open door, but there's still not much coming in. But if I open it right up, then that's an open mind. And there's a hell of a lot of stuff coming in. It might be too much information, but you process it, you reflect, you take responsibility. The Oz principle book talks about above the line behaviour, and I've noticed in RPA hospital, for instance, they have a whole wall of above the line behaviour and what we do to be above the line. Above the line, you own it, you solve it, you do something about it, you see what the problem is. Yeah? Below the line, you blame somebody, you cover your ass, you ignore the problem, you do all sorts of things, but you don't do anything about it. Above the line, you own it, you solve it, say, this is my bit, my responsibility, and you take control. And wholehearted. Not half-hearted, not dipping your tongue in water, but immersing yourself in the reflection. Okay. When you're self-reflecting, think of a situation, think about what went well and what didn't. What did you learn? How could you improve on it? And what activities will help you? And what will be different when you finish? Now, this is all part of your professional development plan thinking. When you're doing your professional development plan, you should think about what do I need? How am I going to do it? And how am I going to know that I got there? Same as any other action plan or any other plan where you have something that you want to achieve. You can get feedback from your learners. You can get feedback from college and line managers and support service people. It can be informal or it could be formal. What do you need in terms of digital literacy? Could be a If somebody signed up the other night for the course, it took forever to get them into the room. They couldn't get into the room. They're in the room now. Spent probably half an hour of class and teacher's time trying to get things working to the point where the teacher said, we don't have time to be doing this individually for you all the time. You'll need to get your digital skills up because we've got to get through the content. They were using Windows 7. Suggested they would need to come into the TAFE system and use our Windows because Windows 7 is going to create problems for them. Windows 10 is being obsolete by the end of this year. So Windows 7 is a long time. I drove home thinking, I could have mentioned, you're working on a 486 or 286 computer at the same time, right? It's just so old, right? So they need digital skills to be confident in the modern world. And if you haven't got those skills as a trainer, then you need to get them, particularly for this type of teaching. What do you need in the work environment? Same sort of skills, really. But it's just getting into teams is a bit of a nightmare sometimes. What do you want to achieve? What will you do to undertake that? How can you get feedback? What digital resources might need to help you? What would success look like, and how will you know when you've achieved success? These are the questions that you are asking yourself in your professional development plan, which has 5 categories: RTO standards compliance, maintaining your teaching currency, maintaining your vocational currency, digital skills, classroom management. And there's another little box there if you want to add something. But you need something in your PD plan about those 5 things, right? And you ask yourself those questions and you fill out the relevant boxes. So what we're going to do is you're going to do the first part of your assessment, which is the research around RTO standards. To do that, you need to look at the RTO user guide, all the legislation, but the user guide is much more user-friendly, much more easy to read. So just search for RTO user guide. I will upload it onto Teams anyway, but find the RTO user guide, answer the questions. You can do it as a group, but answer the questions in the research. We'll continue to work on that in the tutorial next week. We can start on it now, but I sense that people will need to leave at some point from now onwards, depending on commitments, etc. Definitely if you've got to get home to get flowers and all that sort of stuff. Because I wouldn't want to be the one responsible for things going on.
Then you just have to give them a hug.
We haven't given them an apology letter, but so yeah. All right. So that's the content for this unit. Yes.
So you said that we're searching for RTO standard guides is through the
RTO through Google. I should just type in RTO user guide. RTO standards. Beautiful. There you go. I'm not going to upload it on Teams, but it's already done.
Studies. I can upload documents anytime. Jackie's on a day off today, so she's not on. Admin guys, so she's okay.
so that's 2015 hasn't been changed yet.
Terry, can I ask you, this task 1 in the workbook?
Yep. Task 1 of the workbook will also be the first part of your assessment. So if you go, you can either go to assessment event project 2. Assessment event 202 project. But I'm not sure the research activities are in the project. I think you do them in the book. But you can go to either place. You can go to either place and be able to do it. Yeah?
It's the workbook.
Is that the workbook or is that the?
That was the workbook I had.
So just go to the assessment for me.
Yeah.
No, don't go in there.
Oh, that's
That's-
outside, sorry.
I just put it up as a file.
Right.
So it's in the same place that you were. But back in that channel,
Yeah.
the hidden channel, it shouldn't be hidden, but for some reason it is. So go to hidden channels.
Right.
To the Friday.
Yeah.
Go to files. Go to assessment event 2 of 2.
Okay, yeah.
Open that up for me.
Yeah. Right, edit that one, it will get.
That's very quick.
Terry, I'm putting that first, but as I don't have a laptop.
Yeah,
Can
you know,
you
yeah.
show us, it's on the
Yeah,
screen, please?
Maybe
It's
it's one of
scroll
us
down.
as learners.
Is that got a name on
It
it?
does, because if people are editing in Teams, it will
Yeah,
edit that
no, but I thought I
document.
gave you a blank
You-
document.
Oh,
I
okay.
was talking
Right,
about
right,
probably-
That's fine,
Yeah.
if you just edit that, that's fine.
Well, I'll have to replace it. It's probably got answers in it, but that's okay. That's right now for me.
Yeah.
We. Yeah, keep going.
I got all that. Got everything. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
really
so
waiting for
you're gonna do that
Jackie.
type?
She's
Yeah.
still outside. She just.
Great, I've done it.
You guys.
People wanted an example?
Um,
Here's the example. I'll send you an example. Yeah. So you just need to do those and then do your stakeholder interview and your professional.
Okay,
And-
done,
no?
thank you.
What I've put in Teams, and I'll take it out shortly, but if you're very quick, I have put in an assessment that's already been done by mistake.
Oh,
So you can
excellent,
see-
but I can't see it, so. Can you? You can't share it.
I've already shared it.
Yeah, but we're not in it.
Yeah, we're not in it.
So that, can you put? Well, the complete one, I think so, yeah.
I'll give you the one that's not complete. It's very easy to do.
Oh, you're taking it off now.
Yeah, I'm going to put the blank one.
Should I
Somebody
take
has it
out
open.
this?
Huh?
I take it
Yes, thanks. Well, we'll go through the example once I have it up on the board. Here we go. Dooby-dooby-doo-doo-doo. Okay, so that is now in your teams. I'll put it up on the board so you can see what I'm talking about. So, oh, nice. So on the first page, you don't have to sign it anymore. Put your student name. If you know number, put number. I'm not really care about your number as long as your name's on it. You should technically put your number in as well, though. Assessment declaration, you can sign it if you want to, but by uploading it into TDC, you're signing it essentially to say that this is your own work. Then all assessments will give you this overview of what the assessment's about and what's provided. You'll submit it. Now, there's 4 parts to this assessment. Part 1 is professional development consultation. Part 4 is develop your professional development plan. Other 2 parts are Part 2 research, the vet environment. Part 3 work in the vet sector. So you have a professional development conversation with meeting with a stakeholder. We don't want you to do Part 1 until you've done Part 2 and Part 3. Right? Then you do Part 1 and then you do Part 4. This has been rewritten. I don't know why they did it this way. But you meet with the stakeholder, which could be me, could be Jason, could be Jackie. Introduce yourself, including your learner number, start of the date. No, don't worry about introducing yourself. Don't worry about the date and name of the unit. You're not being recorded. You're not. That's introduce your stakeholder. Don't worry about that either. I'll be already introduced to you. Use vet terminology appropriately. So when you're doing your stakeholder interview, you need to use vet terminology as if you understand it. You need to present information in an organised manner. Discuss your findings on the vet sector in relation to ASQA standards, RTOs, learner groups. So that's in a general sense. So I've researched standards 1.8, 1.11 and C about industry currency and teaching currency. And what I thought that was about was blah. That's my understanding. How do you apply that in your job, audit, right? So it's about bringing the research and the practical together. Discuss how they'll impact your ongoing professional development, how you're going to use them. Ask the stakeholders' opinions and ideas and feedback on what you've proposed. Use concise and clear language and stated the next steps for your professional development plan and uploaded your recording. Now, if you're doing it live, you don't have to upload your recording. If you're doing it outside of here, you'll have to upload the record. Then we've got research of vector. So this is the first thing. This is in your student workbook. This is an activity. Here it's your assessment. You're looking at Australian Skills Quality Authority. What is ASPLA and what is its purpose in terms of compliance? What do you think the answer to that is? If you said something like it's a regulating body that is there to make sure that we have good practice in RTOs and we have continuous improvement and they make sure that RTOs are compliant, that would be a satisfactory answer. An example of a workplace document relating to VET framework of compliance area. So, ASCL wants you to do certain things, certain standards. You can have any number of documents. It could be your enrollment procedure. It definitely could be your capability matrix of your staff, so that you've got a record of their currency and their qualifications. It could be your code of conduct. Any number of documents. And what is your responsibility as a trainer and assessor? Well, you have to work to that document and be compliant with ASPA standards. That's your first answer, right? You will find there's a bit of similarity as you go through the next couple. RTO standards, they're the standards that are legislated, and ASPA is responsible for regulating, but the standards are a legislative document from the Australian Parliament. Yep. As long as you answer the question, I don't really care. So I'm not looking for an essay. The box gives you an indication of how many words. Yeah? But there's never any word count. You'll find some that say 25 words, but it's a definition. And when you put the definition in, it's 15 words or 10 words, unless you're fluffing it up. As long as you've got the answer in there, I don't care about 25 words. Somebody thinks it's a good idea to have a word count. They are misleading at the best of times. Australian Qualifications Framework, what is that? How does it apply? How do you apply it as a teacher? RDO policy and procedures. Then we've got part 3. You've got your organisational chart and your trainer assessor job description. Now remember earlier in the day, we had an activity where you look at your organisational chart and your job description. This is where you get to use them. Minimum 20 words with a maximum of 30 words per row. Whatever. Doesn't matter. You give me 31 words, I'm not going to stop reading at 30. Okay? Give me 100 words, I'm probably going to say you've done too much. None of you are going to speed read it anyway, or somebody's going to speed read it. So there's your documents, there's your links. The links won't work, let me know. What's the purpose of the organisational chart? It tells you who to report to. It tells you who the lines of delegation are. How does it affect you as a trainer assessor? Well, you know where to go, you know who to contact. Trainer and assessor job. What's the purpose of the document? What's the job description? Well, it defines people's roles. And the policy and procedure for maintenance of trainer and assessor currency. So read the document, get your head around it, answer the questions. What's the policy for use of digital technology and for learner feedback and appeals? Then we're looking at the learner group. So this is where you've got Baxter. Baxter's 16-year-old, just been employed as an apprentice plumber, was plunging into it. Doesn't have to be an apprentice plumber. You can do whatever you want to do. Then, right? Then you've got Indica Pros doing cert for business admin, right up your alley. Excellent communication skills, proficient in MSX, but like to upskill other MS applications. Mother of young children, she's unable to attend face-to-face classes and looking for flexible online options and possible RPO. That sounds very, very familiar. Lincoln Huang, 32 years of age, visually impaired, enrolled in the Diploma of Accounting. He has strong analytical skills and well-developed skills. You can make that nursing if you want to. But how are you going to what are the needs and expectations of the learner and the course? name a tool that you can use to identify the individual learner needs. So it could be something like an Are You Ready test for language literacy and numeracy. It could be some sort of skills test. It could be a conversation with the student. How would you use information to meet their needs? So you would analyse the information that you get, and then policy, procedures and legal requirements. Well, you have to do things within Privacy Act, work health and safety, all of that. Then you've got a question about level 3 qualification and level 5 qualification, and how you're going to apply it. So you're going to need to look at the AQF descriptors. If you type in AQF descriptors in Google, you'll come up with the Australian Qualification Framework, and you'll come up with the descriptors for each level of the AQFs. 1, 2, 3. You've got to go to level 3 and look at what are the expectations at level 3, and then how will you apply it to meet the needs of your learner. So with Baxter doing a level 3 course, given what's going on for him, how can you make sure that what you're doing doesn't contradict level 3? And then for level 5 diploma, same thing. You're doing that for Lincoln. And then the last bit of your assignment is part 4, professional development plan. You're going to put your name on it. You're going to put the date. Your current role is as a solid RTO trainer and assessor, not as a nurse or a business manager. It's as a trainer and assessor. This is a trainer and assessor professional development plan. Okay. It could be heady, it could be a health RTO, but it's to do with being in an RTO. What's your area of expertise? What will you be teaching? Are you in business services? Are you in health? What's the unit you can train or assess? Now, it could be the one you chose this morning, but you might look at that and think, oh no, that's too much work. I'm going to move away from that. You are not training or assessing in that unit. You are just doing a professional development plan as to how you'll maintain your currency. So working on the ward and going to workshops or going to a conference or watching a YouTube clip or whatever, right? You'll need 2. What are your objectives for the next 6 months? Well, I need to be able to maintain my currency, upskill in relation to RTO compliance, understanding, etc., etc. You have 3 or 4 in there. Then you need to have digital skills. What is your digital skill enhancement? To be more proficient in Teams, to be able to record a session better, to do a song and dance.
Breakout rooms.
That's not digital skills, mate. Breakout rooms, yeah, being confident to manage breakout rooms. How are you going to do that? Well, you're going to immerse yourself in breakout room technology and you're going to do some mock breakout room sessions. How do you get feedback? Or you find out from people how it went. You work with other people. What digital resources might I need, and how will I know when I've achieved my goal? So what will I need to help me do it, and how will I know when I've got there? Industry currency. What's your goal? So think about it in relation to the unit that you're teaching. What is my goal? What activities can I undertake to do it? As it says, activities, etc., etc. So you do digital currency. I've gone all the way back to the start. You've got vet, teacher, trainer, and assessor currency. So how are you going to maintain your teaching currency and your assessing currency? Learner engagement. How are you going to improve your ability to engage learners? That might be going off to do this course. It might be going off to learn more about technical skills in relation to visual learning, auditory learning, learning styles, making your class more interactive. How are you going to understand and apply RTO standards? What are you going to do to upskill in that area? You might get more familiar with the RTO user guide. You might talk to some key stakeholders about how you apply those standards. You might go to a conference about RTO standards. Up to you. You're not going to do it for real. You're just doing it in your plan, right? And Number 6 might not be a number 6. There might be something that you really, really want to dive into about, really, really passionate about, and you might put it in. Okay.
I think 5 enough.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what you have to do for this assessment in the project. You've also got to do the knowledge questions. We'll talk about those later. They're pretty straightforward. So this is what we're going to spend our time. We can start spending time on that now. Alternatively, you can look at it during the week and work on it in your tutorial next week. So that's where we're at. Yeah.
Daddy, what's the 5th again?
So there's a hand up at the back. Let's have nice hands.
Technically complete them and then you can proofread that and say it's okay.
No, so I mean, I don't really have the time to do that. I'll have a look as you're going through it. That's fine. So, but when you hand it in, if it needs something, we'll send it back. And so just fix this. So when we have 2 resubmissions, if you've just got some minor stuff you have to fix up, that's not a resubmission, right? If it's way off the mark, that's a resubmission.
Each drill will be in the reporting. Each will be in the drills of the reporting. But I don't think you really can't fill it up.
Stakeholder review.
Every Friday is
Friday.
Friday tutorial.
Friday, the teacher will be in.
Is it recorded? Is it recorded? Is it, you watch it
We,
after?
well, we won't record it if you're working on your assessment. You can only record it when we give you instruction.
But it's online. I think the thing is though, it's
Virtual.
online, so you don't have to come here to do it.
It's on Teams.
It's on Teams, so you could,
It's a virtual.
correct, so you could work on it from your site or what you've negotiated with your employer.
I'll look at putting up a time earlier in the week for people who can't make Fridays.
I'm just asking them that if
So
possible.
9:30 to 12:30 on Friday will be one of the sessions.
So can I just check for myself, just to put leaf in? Basically, every Friday for the next 6 months,
Commit yourself.
we're here. Done.
Well, one virtual and one here. Every second Friday you're here.
Yeah.
Every other Friday you're in Teams.
Yeah.
Or another day of work.
Correct, but we are doing
CAE is your Friday.
every Friday,
Day.
correct, that's what I meant, you picked up what I was.
Every Friday is Rapid Pie Day. It's also CAE Day.
Originally the document said that we had to attend 80%.
18%. That's a
That was-
lovely number, isn't
It is a lovely number and clearly striving for like 10.
it? The more you come to, the more you understand.
If we don't get 80%,
And you
there are
hand in your assessment and it's competent.
So really, it's not 4 months like in the email where it says finishes in June. It's really to August.
It's coming in December if you need the time.
Wait, if you need the time or if we need the time?
I don't need the time.
No, sorry,
I can do it
Does
as
it have
much
to
time
be
as I can get.
negotiation with the employer?
I think it's after the lessons with Terry. It's just about how quickly you submit your
Yeah.
competencies.
So the plan is to do what I did today, right? I'm going to give you an overview of the assessment,
Yeah.
but we're going to get through the theory.
Yeah.
And then you've got a context. But normally I would break it up and we do some activities. But here I'm just cramming in the theory and then you're doing the assessment between now and the next
So
session.
from now until June,
But
just
yeah,
June,
that's right. But as the
no
session,
assessment.
that's
no,
right.
there are assessments, we've got assessments in March.
Oh,
But as the sessions get more complex, it's going to take more time to do the assessments, right? So you won't be able to do the assessment within 1 week. You might be able to do the paperwork for it, but when we start writing session plans and learning programs, people seem to take longer than a day or 2 days to do that. That should be a couple of sessions. But I normally do that in class. So normally I would give you the content and then you would work individually or in groups and you get your learning program done. Then we move on to the next topic. What I'm going to do here is going to do the theory. Say, right, that's your assessment. Keep working on that assessment. Then I'm going to move on to the next topic. And I'll get to a point probably where I have to stop and say we're doing deliveries. But you'll need 4 people for your deliveries. And we're going to cluster things together. Again, that's going to get complicated, and that's when it gets all very messy and people go, oh, this is really confusing. We'll work with it, but we'll do those in class probably.
There is highly likely that you complete them by June.
I'll complete the content by June. I don't know that you'll have the assessment done by June. I've cut it down to 6 presentations, but you'll need 6 presentations and 2 briefing, and a debriefing. So that's like 8 things plus stakeholder review. So there's actually 9 practical sessions. Some of those are 30 minutes in duration. So that's going to take some time. Right? You can either do that outside of class and record it. If you are doing training and you get consent, that will be fine. If you're not doing that, do it in class. That's going to take some time. That's when most of the time in the course ends up going. It goes on you actually doing your practical assessment. If we're not doing the practical assessment, we'll just churn through it. We'll get to June, then you might have to come and finish off a range of different things.
So Terry, question. When will the MCQs for this year get open?
Then we'll
MCQs.
Multiple
That means it,
once you're enrolled,
I'm enrolled, I can see that.
so you should be able to see the quizzes for this year.
But it says, the assessment is logged.
You've got to accept the assessment. So you've got to click on I agree with the assessment.
I think there's a link on that page, Johnny, that says you need to look at the
Oh, is
assessment.
there?
I haven't
Download the
yet.
unit assessment guide. Say I understand and agree, and then it will all open up.
Oh,
So the quiz isn't the knowledge test that's in the teams. Okay, so it's.
So if we don't, if the people who are unpaid like myself, what do we do? So we call the number on Monday.
Right.
I cried, don't worry, that's easily done.
And
So
you wait patiently.
Yeah.
You enjoy your Valentine's Day. Even if you're being your own Valentine, you can be your own Valentine, right?
Yeah.
And just cherish yourself. We then open it up as soon as you are enrolled and active. You will have
So
access.
if I don't hear back
Worst
from
case scenario, you do it manually, but we don't want to do that. Manually, I don't want to mark it manually. You don't want to write
So
it.
if I don't hear back on Tuesday and Wednesday, by Tuesday or Wednesday, do I just call or email you? Would that be the best option? What would you prefer?
We'll wait until
I
Thursday.
can't- There's no point in calling or emailing me because I can't do any more than I've done. I'll just take it to my director who has put a rocket up a certain department. And that department has come back and said, we'll do it in our own jolly good time. Thank you very much. We are looking at continuous improvement.
So will the maximum days of waiting will be around
I don't
Thursday?
know. I don't know. I cannot answer that question.
Thank you.
I can only control the controllable, and I apologise.
Will we start the tutorial on Friday? Because it's not.
No, you can see.
No, we can't get on the teams because we're not paid.
Yeah.
But some people did.
No,
No, but
but they are
we
the
can.
paid people. We can't get on the
So you
team
use
link.
that code and you put it on.
No, because we're unpaid. So you can't log
But you
in.
logged into Teams.
Into my team. But you can't log.
No.
Yeah.
Our enablement's not done.
But you can go on the Teams and try and log in
Yes, and I cannot.
on your computer.
Yes,
Right. And you log in with at Study Tape New South Wales.
but I can't do that because I don't have a TAFE email because I'm not enrolled yet.
Didn't you have a login?
I have a login for TAFE.
Yeah.
But to log into Teams, you need an email,
The typing.
the TAFE
So it's
email,
just the log, it's just your.
but I don't have a TAFE email because
You do, it's
it has to be set up.
Tape email is whatever name, you've got a number at the end of your name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So
keep
the
that
tape
in mind.
email is
Okay.
at study tape New South Wales.edu.
I'll go and try that.
So try the login and then.
You gotta put the whole, you gotta put the whole email address.
It didn't work.
Did that didn't work?
They haven't probably haven't set up that email yet. They're not
Correct.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. That's a little bit.
Should be the same team.
You haven't paid your money, so you can't have it.
Correct.
So, but next Friday will be in your team. If not everybody is in by next Friday, you will be in what's in Health New South Wales team.
Yeah, so
But we
Not
will.
this Friday, the next Friday.
No, I think.
Next Friday.
Next week, next week.
Every Friday.
Yeah, and I called Monday. Okay, if you pay now, there's no point of going to the class.
I don't think so.
Yeah, listen to me, listen to me, no point of going there, you waste your time.
That is your.
Has everybody signed the attendance sheet?
Yeah.
Of course, not now.
Sorry, that is my question. What was the number? Number 5? Number 5.
Are we done? Understand and apply RTO standards.
Yes.
Just by asking.
You have to fill out this table.
We can.
Bob, I take it this is your professional development plan. So how are you going to understand the RTO standards and apply them?
By
How are
understanding,
you
by
going to
reading,
develop your understanding of the RTO?
by reading,
By
researching,
reading,
asking
researching.
questions.
That's right.
Doing that deliberately, because it's only so.
Teaches nursing is
Right.
studies.
Because of Jackson Martin put it up.
If you want to record that,
The shade is like she's not me. And because of the way things are at the moment.
yeah, it's easier for me. And I can watch it out.
Sorry,
Sorry, Terry. To interview, you have to research all that information so that you can use for examinations, acronyms, everything.
You're going to do that research and then apply it to your question.
Yeah.
And your development. plan.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Good day.
Well done.
Yeah.
Got you out early as well.
Good man.
I'm saying, you've been going by 4 hours. You don't bring me flowers. Ah, there's an on button and there's an off button. Whatever.
They worked.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Probably because I pressed the on button too many times. Yeah, hardly talk to me anymore. You walk through the door at the end of the day. Thank you. See you soon. Thank you. Oh. Camera.
Today.
Thank you. Bye bye. See you all. Oh. Bye bye. Take care. You too.
Bye, Terry.
Bye bye.
We are one of these people. We're not going. If we're here to 4:30.
Oh, good. Okay. Cool.
We're here at 4:30.
You're here at 4:30. I might not be here at 4:30. No, all right. I'm only joking.
I'm just trying to get my head around.
Yeah, yeah.
I think because we've come in so confused because it's been so
Mm-hmm.
chaotically disorganized, and that's nothing to do with you.
Try my best.
And not
Bye-bye.
having access to anything.
So I've just printed off assessment event 2 of 2, but I noticed there's a 1 of 2, which I can't print for some reason.
Yeah, 1 or 2 is the knowledge questions.
It's
So
what?
It's a
they're the
knowledge.
knowledge questions. You do them
Oh,
online
okay.
automatically when you get.
So 1 of 2, so I don't need to print the knowledge questions. Okay.
Well, you can get your head around them, but you don't do them manually.
So here in part 1, professional consultation.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going to do in class, unless we do it with someone else.
Assess observation checklist. Yeah.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice evening, Renuka, whatever you decide to do.
Clear my brain.
No, I'm going to get this cleared in my head.
So what's the first one I have to do? Sorry, Terry. I'm a
Right.
bit muddled up. Like it was so much information.
Muddled head in one bit.
Professional development consultation, which is part 1.
Mhm.
So that's not it.
Part 1's the stakeholder interview.
Yeah.
But you don't do
Right,
part 1
okay.
until you've done part 2 and part 3.
Okay, so that's
Oh, so what I should give you is a Padlet. Okay, so let me.
stakeholder checklist.
Bye bye.
Okay, so that one is fine. So
Because
development.
people are in a rush to go, I didn't show you the Padlet, which gives you this in step order. So I will send the Padlet to you.
Yeah, look, I much rather understand it because otherwise I'm going to go out of here and go, oh my gosh, I should have asked Sherry this and this.
Fine.
And I'll buy you coffee next time, I
No,
promise. So what part is this organizational documentation that you were talking
That's
about?
part 2.
And part 2 is research the vet frameworks and
That's right.
compliance requirements. So this is the research bit.
Mhm.
Just 1 page.
Well, there's 2 tables. There's actually 3 tables you have to fill out. I think you'll find
And then
the
I've
third
done it
table's
to fill
part
this one
3.
out, Sarah Wilson,
That's
first
part
aid.
4.
And now this kind of thing, digital
Mhm.
skill enhancement.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's part 4.
Mhm.
All right. This doesn't say part 4. I need it to say part 4.
Well, it does if you go a page back.
I'm shaking it out of order. Am I? I think so. All right.
So what page have you got there?
That's 17.
And that's
Where's my other
what
one?
page?
Maybe they didn't all print
There you
out.
go. The first, not the first.
16. Here we go.
Right.
Part
There
4.
you go.
Right. So part 4. Oh my gosh, Terry, why did I sign up for this?
I don't know.
Because I needed to meet you and understand this. No, I really am keen to understand it. And what's this bit?
Well, I'm getting less attitude from nurses here, I must say, than I normally get.
Really?
Yeah.
You get attitude
Oh,
from
absolutely.
adults.
Yeah. Particularly English as a second language teachers and nurses. Well, I've got a degree. I don't need to do. Okay, we don't need to do it then. So yeah, bye bye. But no, you're good. Great. So
We're here to learn.
yeah, that's right.
Or
I can
I
tell-
want to
I
get
can tell
something.
that.
I want to get something out of it,
Yeah.
whether I use it or not.
That's right.
Which in my job, I don't have a lot to do with the RTO courses in here. But sometimes I've had to step in before and
Yep.
I just want to know. All right, so I'm going to do my best. Any questions, Erin? Because I told you I had no idea what questions I was going to ask. I just said I need to go and sort this out in my head. I just need you in my pocket. So on Monday when I come to work and I sit down and
Yeah, and just ring me.
I'm not going to be ringing you every 5 minutes.
I didn't say every 5 minutes.
All right.
Only
Any
Valentine's
questions
Day
at
for
all?
one day, not for a
I
whole
think
week.
I'm not going to think about this again today.
Oh, I'm not
Yeah,
doing
but-
it.
Have a headache,
Or the
still
weekend.
there.
Or the
But-
weekend.
but
We
yeah.
don't have
Yeah.
access to.
And I'm not, I don't have access.
Do you have another name, which is Sutherland or something?
There's an Erin Southern.
Oh,
But
there's
that's
an
not-
Erin
yeah.
Southern.
Because I had Erin Southern on my list, but not you on my list.
No, Erin Southern.
Then when I approved you the other day, I
Has
said,
gone
oh,
to
you must be
Hetty.
a New South Wales health person as well. You
Yeah.
emailed.
I sent you
Yeah, but I also approved you in the system about 2 days ago or 3 days ago.
Yeah.
You sent me an email. Yeah. Did I respond to your email?
Erin's a
I've
clinical,
an
a clinical educator, so you might show up at the hospital. Like I can't even make a meet. Like, I might say, look, I'm going to come over to Fairfield, and I might not see her all day.
No.
Mm.
So I can't even say, look, I'll come up
So you could be just out
on
partying
Friday.
too.
I'll come out on Friday. No, she's working. Believe me, you can tell. Hair's everywhere. Like the other day, hair everywhere. You going for lunch? No. I went, okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yes, because you'd have nurses and you'd have nurses, wouldn't you?
And I'm a
You'd have-
student.
Yeah, that's the main. You've got students who are
No, I've got, you know,
switched on and focused,
some
and others have
don't.
been up thinking that, well, you're going to teach me everything, or
well, that was my new grad, I think. I
Mm.
feel like she was still a student.
But they are. They don't get a lot of clinical experience. You know that.
Which is scary.
So when they come in, yeah, they come in. Anyway, all right, Terry, I'm going to run away. I'm going to run
no,
away.
you're here at 4:30. Goodness.
I know,
So
but
at the
okay,
moment,
so help me.
just to clarify, everything that's on the tape teams
is also in our district team.
That's right.
Okay, that's fine. As long as I've access to
Okay.
it. I can't
So-
submit anything because I don't have a tape team set up. Because I'm not.
Oh, that's okay. You have to submit.
So part 3, research working in the vector, and we go to these places to research. And what sort of things could I research as a trainer?
Well,
as
you've
a-
got to answer the questions on the next page.
All right,
So
organization.
you need those documents too. So you've got organisational chart. You have a look at it. You answer that question. Job description. You have a look at it.
Yeah.
You probably don't even need to look at it, but you answer that question.
Okay, so it's
for
not,
each box
it's not
there's a-
my job description, it's a trainer and
It's
a
the solid
trainer.
RTO job description that's given to
And
you
it's
there
the organizational chart
for
for
solid RTO.
RTO
Solid RTO.
or web.
You've
It's
got
all-
a simulated RTO called solid RTO.
Yeah,
all
it's
that
not us
documents
personally.
relate to that. But you have been employed by solid RTO, so it's your job.
Okay, now, okay, so I go here, I answer these questions.
Yeah.
And now, my downfall is definitely the technology. I don't use a lot of technology in my classes. I'm lucky.
We're practical.
I am practical. So do I just, so, it's going to sound really silly, but I love silly questions. So my actual document in Teams, is that my document? Like
Mhm.
if I type
Yep,
into
that's
it,
right.
is
That's
Erin
right.
going to go, oh, Sarah, you've typed into the original
No, that's your.
template?
Well, it depends on how you set it up.
I don't know how Jody set it up. I know that I typed in, I know
Save
that
a
I
copy and then
download it.
I
then you
save a
upload it.
copy to your own
I
desktop,
tried though.
working in
Yeah,
it.
we'll
I
try it again.
tried to save it, but I did, as you were
You
writing.
sometimes have to enable content to save it.
Okay. Because I actually started to write my name and stuff, and I went, oh, I'll just do, and I'll do, you did, I could train or assess first aid, and that's when you go on to the health,
That's fine.
the HLT
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
And digital, you started to talk about, digital skill enhancement. What is my goal? Become more proficient in Teams, and that is so true. That is such a big goal of mine. To be able to record a session, can you imagine?
Yep.
I know.
This little red button.
Click.
I know. You
Go onto
guys
the
do
left,
it all
go
the
onto
time,
the
but
left.
it's not-
I actually
You
don't.
go into the 3 little dots that says record and transcribe meeting. You go, yep. That's record.
Okay. And yeah, I saw you doing it today, but it's not something that I do every day. And if I just,
Huh?
okay.
That's
Industry
right. That's the goal.
currency.
So you write that down as your
Yeah. Okay. But it's saved onto that document that I started to
It should be
type.
fun. Don't worry about it.
Nice one. Don't worry.
Everybody else.
That's
I
right.
don't think so.
They'll go in and I'll change it. So you make sure you get your own copy.
Yeah. Well, I do.
If it's in general Teams, then yes, it's but if it's in OneNote in Teams, it's your document.
I love Jody. Jody's very good at this sort of stuff.
That was Jody that was doing all.
Yeah, she's the guru of
Yeah.
computers. Any issues I have, but a lot of people go, well, we all go to her. She's been doing it for years. Like I say to her, I said, I can look after a baby on a ventilator, but don't ask me to save a bloody document on the computer. No, I can save a document on Word.
Oh, I
Give
know
yourself
when
more
I
credit.
need your skills, I'll come and see you.
Yeah, don't worry. No, you don't want to see me. I always used
No.
to tell people, oh, I'm having a baby. I might see you. Yeah, you don't want to see me.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't want to see me, really. Unless I'm busy.
It'll be tough sometimes, I imagine.
Well, thank you so much for
That's
your
right.
time. And I can tell you are so bloody knowledgeable. Because you just go.
Been there for a while. All right. Take care. Talk to you soon. Lovely to meet you. You too. I might do that. No, it's all good. Well, that's right. That's right. And I had my alcohol night last night, so I can't.
Post alcohol night, and then Friday. Well, I'm not a big drinker. I'm not a big drinker. But we will go out for dinner because we're going out for dinner every Friday. We'll go to the local. I drink and sleep.
Well, I'll be busy tonight, I imagine.
Oh, they will be. No, but Actually, I'm gonna go and try the restaurant where I'm thinking of having my birthday party, because my husband and I both turned a big 60 this year. So before I book it, I wanna go and taste their food.
Where's that? A little bit. We say vaping. Babies. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I know babies, yeah. So the old co-op, yeah.
Own it. And, they sound really good, but I just wanna taste their food before I
Yeah, yeah.
get my. Hey?
For babies.
Yeah.
All right, have a lovely.
All right, you too. Bye bye. See ya. Bye bye.